Well, hey, my name is Jacob Eckeberger. I'm with Youth Specialties. I'm here with Chad Gardner from King's Kaleidoscope. And Chad, thanks so much for taking the time to chat with me, man.
Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
So, Chad, why don't we jump into just you? Tell us a little bit about your story and what brought you into a place where King's Kaleidoscope could happen.
Yeah. Well, I grew up here in the Seattle area, greater Seattle area, and I grew up in church my whole life. Um, and just kind of always was drawn to music and really enjoyed being part of worship teams growing up, playing with my dad. My dad would play bass and I played drums
Oh,
kind of
cool.
a lot. Yeah. But out of high school, I actually was kind of a youth intern slash director kind of position at the church that I grew up in for 2 years
Oh,
and
awesome.
worked a lot with the youth group, mostly high school, but some middle school. And out of that was part of a church plant and spent, most of those 2 years was leading worship at the church as well initially, but then going into a church plant and was part of a big, huge mega church here in Seattle. So I really kind of spent right out of high school, kind of went into full time ministry, and
Yeah.
really the focus for me was is being a worship leader, worship director. So just um, really fine tuning songs for our congregation to sing on Sunday, and really paying a close attention to like who the congregation was made up of, what the
Hmm.
demographics or what the people were like, and what kind of music was going to speak their language. And so, King's Kaleidoscope was birthed out of that, and I've kind of been we were doing that for a long time, 5 years almost, and then
Hmm.
this year has been the first year that I've not been working for a church, but just making. We made our first full length record this year, which came out in October, the
Yeah.
very end of October, so almost November. And so this has been the first year I haven't been working like on staff at a church, but
Huh.
it's been incredible to have that background and just come to a place artistically where we really understood the church and what we our what how we felt we had served the church on Sundays and how we feel like we could serve it in a little bit of a different capacity now.
Yeah.
So yeah.
The latest album or first full length album is Becoming Who We Are.
Hmm.
Yeah, and so tell me a little bit about the process and writing and recording that. I mean, because y'all have about a 10-piece band, so
Yeah.
there's tons of instrumentation you can work with. So
Mhm.
how did all of that come together?
Yeah, well, the size of the band is really just kind of a reflection of how I grew up learning how to make music.
Hmm.
Like I said, I was really involved in church and youth group, and I always liked bands that had lots of different elements sonically going on. And I also just really liked to work with whoever was around. So for me, I had a big family that was cousins and siblings, and then a lot of the kids in the youth group. So always in bands that I was in growing up, I always liked to have, like in my high school band had a turntablist and a saxophone,
Hmm.
kind of that vibe.
Yeah.
And it was just people I'd find around the church or school or whatever. But so going into, being in ministry and building a band, it was really natural for me to have a lot of people involved.
Hmm.
So what does it look like just to be God's kids and just to be artists and to be individuals and realize that He's just made us to just play music and that's enough,
Hmm.
without some massive mission or goal. And that's a little bit where the title originates from. You know we felt like we were just sort of becoming who we are a little bit, and
Hmm.
it also is a quote um, from Frederick Buechner that basically talks about heaven and that heaven is the ultimate place where we become who we are. And it was a hard year for a lot of us. And so thinking about eternity was a big concept for us.
Yeah.
And just that whole concept was huge for us in the recording record. So it's a little bit of it's a mixed, it's a huge record. It's 17 songs.
Yeah.
There's a song on there that I started in high school. There's like, it's an expansive record, but I think it does a really good job of capturing like all of the emotions.
Hmm.
That's the cool thing about having so many people in the band is there's so much personality, and we're able to do so many styles of music that you know um, a lot of times you flip through bands looking for it to feel a different way or to resonate with a different emotion. And I feel like that's one thing that we can sort of excel at as a band is being able to bring kind of like all of the emotions
Sure,
and
man.
lots of topics and, um, yeah, lots of different purposes. So that's a little bit about the record.
Yeah. Like when you were growing up in the church, did you have someone kind of come around you that saw a spark of musical talent in you or just creativity and kind of helped foster that and bring that out? Did you have a youth worker in your life that was a part of that?
Yeah, I was really close to my youth pastor,
Hmm.
starting right in, sixth, seventh, eighth grade.
Okay.
I was always really involved, and he was a huge mentor to me. And I mean, I saw him all the time. My parents were involved at the church, not on staff, but
Hmm.
just involved. So I was there a lot.
Sure.
Um, and I think that one thing that he did really well was um, he was good at providing a space for me to sort of just cut my teeth
Huh.
at
Yeah.
stuff. And what I mean by cut my teeth is just like try stuff, fail, try other stuff. And it was a non-threatening environment. And I think that the biggest thing though was just the music thing. Like I I say this, it's dangerous now that I think about it because it's like I wasn't very good, but I mean like I really was given like tons of creative leash,
Hmm.
just to even use the space. I mean, just to like have a youth room sitting around like all week, and you know, my youth pastor would let me bring my band in, and we would just jam. And so I'd have all these guys that weren't Christians, and we just
Hmm.
hung out at the church. They were really good at um, kind of hosting and encouraging creativity, and I
Yeah.
attribute a lot of my like just growth, like trial and error to that. I feel like I took that spirit from growing up in that youth environment and took it with me,
Hmm.
and I love fostering that. Like I love involving as many people as I can. And I think as a musician in a church, the talent that you have to slowly create and really work on is
Hmm.
knowing music well enough
Hmm.
and being able to arrange it well enough, and also having an anchor that like your job isn't to just be creative but it's really to serve the congregation. But
Yeah.
if you have those two things in place, I think you really can like lovingly incorporate people, and not
Yeah.
everybody, like there's always somebody who is not good at all at music and they really want to do it, and
Sure.
that's fine. They need to be gently led to understand that God has gifted them in a different way, and
Yeah.
they're actually going to be more satisfied doing that in the end.
Sure.
And I would just really encourage people that the best thing that I've gotten to do and that was done to me is to let me really um, be encouraged to find out who I was and what gifts God had actually given me.
Hmm.
Because I just think that's so important. Like, especially in the culture of like where musicians are naturally praised a lot in churches or just in the world,
Hmm.
and kids who are insecure and looking for affirmation, they like that's the most important thing you could do. Like if you play guitar in the youth group band, you're going to be cooler than somebody who can't. You know what I mean? And
Oh,
it's like ultimately, like I want all those kids to know that they're just as valuable as the guy that's playing guitar.
yeah.
And we're all just as insecure and looking for purpose and identity, and Jesus is the only one that can offer us that. So
Yeah.
it's really just caring about people
Hmm.
more than, um, church metrics or just trying to get pulled together some like a program. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love it when people really just feel valuable just because they are made in God's image, period.
Yeah.
And I think kids can feel that too.
Yeah.
Kids can feel if they're being invested in because we're hoping that they become a leader someday. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Or we hope that they can just lead a group or play guitar or something like that. And that's not why kids are valuable. Like
Hmm.
they're valuable because we're valuable, and we're valuable because we're made in Jesus' image. So
How do you feel that music and the creative process of just like getting your hands into making something, creating something, how do you feel like that process can teach students about their relationship with God?
I think that so many times when I was in that position, when people would be struggling with not being able to pull something off or do it well enough or something like that,
Hmm.
those have probably been some of the best times where you're actually able to teach somebody that they're valuable despite a performance
Huh.
or
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? So like with kid, like it's like basketball or a sport. It's like if a kid is so good at football, like it's almost kind of dangerous because he's never going to learn that he has any value outside of being good at football because he
Hmm.
gets so much affirmation from it. Affirmation based on performance and criticism based on performance is just a report card.
Hmm.
And so your whole life is I've got to be good enough. Oh, I'm so good. I got an A. I knocked that sermon out of the park, or I scored a touchdown, or
Hmm.
I led the youth group in worship, or oh man, I messed that up. I got an F, or that sermon was bad, or I dropped the football. And it's like none of that is the gospel. The gospel is that God loves us at our worst.
Hmm.
And so I think that those moments when you get to be close with people and you get to see them fail, those are like the most important moments to love them and show them
Hmm.
the gospel.
Yeah. What do you hope becoming who we are does? I mean, did you, when you created it, did you have a vision for like where it would land, and when somebody listened to these songs, how they could interpret it and how it would encourage their life,
Mm.
or did you even think about it in that aspect?
I think really for me specifically, it was just something that I needed to do.
Hmm.
Like the year was so hard. Like I lost my father-in-law, my first son,
Hmm.
to a stillbirth. Like I said, my wife and I both had to leave our jobs at a big church because it was really unhealthy, and so just
Hmm.
whirlwind of just awful was
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
And but that's not the final story. I think the story is that like God really, really held us together and just handed us the gift of faith that He was good through it all. And
Hmm.
this record is a little bit of a monument for me of um, sort of like what songs I needed to sing to myself,
Hmm.
what gave me joy through the year. Um, yeah, just like because when life is always nasty,
Hmm.
it is like it's a broken world, and when I think about this record, it's like I really just have hoped that it would encourage people the same way that it's encouraged me.
What do you guys have coming up for King's Kaleidoscope? What can we be looking forward to?
Man, we're trying to get out and play shows as much as we can. It's a lot to fly a 10-piece band. So it's hard. It's really hard. But we want to share these songs with people live. We want to encourage people. And we always have stuff up our sleeves. So we got some surprises coming in the next couple of months.
Yeah.
And yeah, man. And we just, you know, it's fun. It was cool. We did this big vinyl pre-order and we like sold out of the vinyl. Well,
Nice.
we're making a little bit more of a batch, so we'll have that available soon. But it's been so finally that was in August, and finally these people got their vinyl, and it's just been so cool to like be in a position where we can really just do things that we think that we're really into, and see people like just be involved with it, and how songs have moved people
Hmm.
is that's like really what's worth it.
Well,
Yeah,
Chad, thanks so much again, man. The band is King's Kaleidoscope and kingskaleidoscope.com. Is that the best place for people to find you, or?
yeah, that's great.
Okay,
That's
perfect. We're going to post some videos that you'll need to check out just below this. So take a gander at those and we'll see y'all later. Thanks, Chad.
thank you.